Welcome to my next Better Call Saul Season 6 episode review video. Before I get into that, though, pretty important, if you aren't caught up to the point where I am, and where you're watching Better Call Saul, or you're just not entirely sure, then you definitely need to take the initiative and pay attention to the episode's title, which of course I'll mention, as well as put in the description if that happens to be the case. If you're not caught up, it would be my recommendation that you don't watch this detailed review any further to avoid any potential spoilers. And full disclosure, I've already seen Better Call Saul all the way through one time. Almost done seeing it all the way through 2 times. It's one of my favorite shows of all time. I also have reviewed and covered every episode of Breaking Bad on this channel. That is in my top 5 of all time. Love Breaking Bad. If you want to check out any of my Breaking Bad content, with about 20 seconds left to go in this video, at the end of the video, in the end screen part, I'm going to put my most recent Breaking Bad seasons ranked right here. Every once in a while, I redo that just after I rewatch the show, and the last time it actually changed somehow, some way. So if you want to check out any of my Breaking Bad related content at the end of this video, along with my seasons ranked, I'll put different Breaking Bad videos. I'll even put my Breaking Bad top 10 favorite episodes right there, and then maybe I'll put something else. I don't know what else I'm going to put, but I'll put those 2 videos for sure. But definitely an awesome show, and Better Call Saul is a pretty awesome prequel series, although not as good. But with all that said, this will be Better Call Saul, Season 6, Episode 11. The title of this episode is called Breaking Bad. And this will be my review reaction recap after just finishing watching the episode. So we go back to 2008. Saul Goodman, bound and with a sack covering his head, is transported into the desert in the back of an RV. The 2 men driving eventually take Saul Goodman out of the vehicle, presenting him with a mock grave. When the sack is removed from his head, Saul turns around to insist to his captors that they are looking for Ignacio. Back to present time, Francesca deals with a clogged sink caused by 2 stoner tenants. Remembering her prior arrangement with Saul, she gets into her car and drives through downtown Albuquerque. Along the way, she diverts her route to shake off what she suspects to be a police tail. She must have learned from Mike. He's great at avoiding tails. And then Francesca soon finds herself at an abandoned gas station in the middle of the desert, waiting near some payphones. Just as she's about to leave, one of the phones begins to ring. On the other end of the line is Gene Takovic, calling from a payphone outside a diner in Nebraska. Gene gives Francesca instructions on how to find a hidden pouch containing several $1,000s near her location. After she retrieves the money, she updates him on what has happened since he left Albuquerque. All of Saul's assets and shell companies have been seized. Skylar LeWhite took a plea deal. Huell returned to New Orleans after being released from DEA custody. Bill Oakley has become a defense attorney, and Jesse Pinkman is believed to have fled to Mexico. Finally, she divulges that Kim called to check on her after everything went down, and that she asked about Gene as well. Gene is affected by this last bit of news. He tries to bid Francesca goodbye, but she unceremoniously hangs up on him. Back driving to Omaha, Gene reaches an intersection. Emotionally torn after hearing about Kim, he goes back to the phone booth and makes a call to a business in Florida called Palm Coast Sprinkler, where Kim Wexler works. So Kim is not dead, at least not yet. Where everybody thought she was dead. The succeeding conversation is inaudible outside the phone booth, but is a heated argument. The call ends with Gene Takovic hammering the headset down on the receiver and kicking one of the glass panels of the phone booth until it shatters. Gene returns to Omaha and works a shift at the Cinnabon, contemplating his next move. The following morning, he visits Jeff's house and is greeted by Marion, who shows him a new laptop computer that Jeff had bought her for her with the proceeds from the mall heist. Jeff returns home to find them together in the kitchen. Gene excuses Jeff and himself to the garage, where he asks Jeff to take the night shift at the cab company and to acquire that. Jeff is confused as Gene has previously warned him to stay away. Gene tells him that they are back in business and both share a toast. That night, Gene, using the alias Victor St. Clair, performs at a karaoke bar. The mark in the latest scam is Alfred, an obnoxious patron who coaxes Gene into a series of humiliating bets. At one point, Alfred orders drinks for the both of them on Gene's tab. Gene empties his own glass with a tube hidden in his sleeve. Outside, Jeff picks up Alfred in his cab, leaving Gene behind. Gene disposes of the drinks that were in his rubber bladder, hidden under his shirt. Then Jeff gives Alfred a bottle of water spiked with some drugs, and gives Alfred's address and the time of arrival to Buddy, who poses as a taxi company's dispatcher. Jeff drives Alfred to his home, a large and affluent neighborhood. As Alfred opens his door, Jeff covers the lock cutout in the door jamb with a strip of duct tape. As he drives away, Buddy and his dog enter the house, leaving the dog at the foyer. Buddy finds Alfred asleep on the living room sofa. He removes Alfred's wallet from his jacket and takes out all of his government ID, credit cards, and banking cards, snapping photos of their front and back. He then goes into Alfred's office and snaps a photo of his checkbook and bank and tax forms and his passwords. Buddy quietly leaves the house with the dog, almost forgetting to remove the duct tape from the lock. Then we go back to 2008 again. After they pay him for his services, Saul Goodman steps back in the RV with his would-be kidnappers, Walter White and Jesse Pinkman. Saul takes note of the duo's chemistry equipment, realizing that they make the blue stuff and that Walt is the man known as Heisenberg. Walt tries to drive the RV, but it stalls out to cool off the overheated fuel pump. He switches the vehicle off. After an awkward moment of silence, Jesse asks Saul who Lalo is. He uneasily replies, nobody. Walt manages to restart the RV, and the trio drive off into the end of the night. Then we go back to current time. The shot, we see Gene lying in bed in 2010, hearing a knock at his front door. He goes downstairs in his residence and collects a package which contains a swing master machine. With the aid of Jeff and Buddy, Gene starts a new routine. He befriends well-off bar patrons, send them home in Jeff's cab, and he has Buddy enter their homes to steal their financial information. Jeff sells the information to identity thieves in exchange for payments of cash and whiskey. Gene stockpiles his money on top of his shoebox in a hidden compartment. He also indulges in some of the other old habits, as Saul going to strip clubs with Jeff and Buddy and having one-night stands with prostitutes. One night, Gene targets a bar patron after they engage in conversation about the stock market and moral consequences of white-collar criminals. The Mark's electronic alarm sounds and begins taking pills. He admits that he has cancer, not the good kind. Gene initially seems hesitant to go through with the scam and asks the Mark if he could still be drinking in his condition, and the Mark replies, "You only go around once." Gene takes him outside and leads him to Jeff's cab. And then we go back to 2008. Saul is lying on his office floor with the swing master and takes a call from Francesca about his upcoming schedule. Mike, now Saul's private investigator, steps into his office to update him on several cases the two are handling. Upon Saul's query, Mike divulges the full names and occupations of Walter White and Jesse Pinkman, explaining that Walter White has terminal lung cancer. Knowing about the chemical purity of Walt's product, Saul is eager to go into business with him. Mike advises against it, telling him that Walt is an amateur who will get himself either caught or killed if the cancer doesn't get him first. Mike continues talking about an unrelated matter, but Saul has zoned out of the conversation. Go back to 2010. After settling in to watch TV, Gene receives a call on his earphone from a frantic Jeff. From her bedroom window, Marion sees the three men argue and enter the garage. And inside, Buddy tells Gene that he can't go through with the scam on the cancer-stricken Mark, explaining that his own father had pancreatic cancer. When Buddy says that he removed the duct tape from the Mark's lock, Gene angrily fires him and warns him not talk about what they have been doing. He quickly enlists Jeff to drive him to the Mark's house so that he can commit the break-in himself, dismissing Jeff's own misgivings. As Gene exits the cab, there is a brief scene of Saul entering the science wing of J.P. Wynn High School, walking past Walt's Pontiac Aztek. The episode ends with Gene breaking through the glass panel to unlock the Mark's front door. And that's it. So, pretty good episode. Obviously, it's a callback to Breaking Bad Season 2, Better Call Saul. I'm going to give this episode a 9.4 out of 10. And my character of the episode, I think Jeff and Francesca were good in this episode. Obviously, Walt and Jesse were good, but I mean, they're not in it that long. So, got to give it to Francesca and Jeff. So, you've heard everything that I have to say. Now, it's your turn. If you're a fan of Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul and El Camino, a Breaking Bad movie, and if you want to help me out with the YouTube algorithm, please make sure that you help smash the like button, share this video with a friend, put this video on any one of your social media platforms. Don't forget to sound off in the comment section about what your thoughts are on this episode of Better Call Saul. What would you rate it? Who would be your character of the episode, and anything else that you want to add? Remember to click right here for my Breaking Bad Seasons Ranked video. And then last but certainly not least, don't forget to hit that sub button. Subscribe to the channel. You're watching the video anyway. Get me over 100,000 subscribers. Join the team. Show your damn support. And be a part of something special. And you never know what you're going to see on JDev TV.